This is a picture of me doing the best job in the world, being a principal, and I would often go into your classroom as a principal, and I would get the kids all riled up and excited, and then I would leave, because teachers absolutely love that. So that was something that I always wanted to do. But I was always inspired to work in schools and to work with kids, and because of the stories that they told and how they made you feel and how they connected. I thought that was just such a powerful thing. And like most teachers, or many teachers, I was inspired by a movie. Now, it wasn't like Stand and Deliver or Dangerous Minds. It was actually Billy Madison. So every single year, I actually will always sing the same song, back to school, because I just loved that movie. And I just loved how he connected with kids, and how, I know he wasn't a teacher, but just the thought of actually just sitting with them and just having fun and enjoying that. And that's what I felt I was as a principal. And you see, that's something that I would do often. And most of those kids like me. The girl on the outside just can't even stand my reading, but the other ones did, and I love this. And you'd often see me in a suit and tie on the floor with the kids, reading, connecting with them in powerful ways, and I just love that. And I was just inspired by them all the time. And they make you want to be better. And so, because of this, from my experience, and it's been said over and over again, this notion that we need to change. And this quote drives me: "If you don't like change, you're going to like irrelevance even less." And that's something we have to think about, is that, are we becoming irrelevant? And schools have to be better now. They have to be, with all the technology, all the information we have access to, they have to be better. But when I was a kid, this was basically the standard. Dear Mrs. Stone, you are the best music teacher ever because my last music teacher choked a boy. Like that. That was kind of the standard that, if you just didn't get that, school is good. And so that was something that was really important to me, is that we get better for our school. And this notion of embracing change is something that I've learned from my mom and dad. And you can see them in this picture. They're like the Greek-Canadian version of The Sopranos. And they're sitting there, and they really inspire me to do better in school. And they saw school as a way to a better life. They came over. My dad had a grade 2 education, and my mom, huge overachiever, had a grade 6. They came over to Canada, and you can actually see this picture of my dad on the boat as he comes over to Canada. And you think about how we talk about embracing change and what that is. That is actually my dad. He came over to a new country, could not speak a word of the language, with $15 in his pocket. And you think about the stuff that we fear of change, that we're going to move from Word to Google Docs. Really? You think about what he had to go through this time, and it was right till he continued to learn and grow and adapt. And this is him not learning to read or write anytime, getting on Facebook. And why does he go to that space? Because he knew that was the way he was going to connect with his kids, because that was the space he went to. And interestingly enough, he learned to read and write English from this space. As we grow and we see different things, I always think of my dad. And so he didn't just embrace change, he saw it as an opportunity. And I love this quote: "The best way to predict the future is to invent it." And that's what my dad did. And he came over with nothing and gave his kids all the opportunity in the world. And we have to think about that. And you look at how much the world is changing. This is probably like one of the most embarrassing confessions, but I'm a believer. I think it's a Canadian thing. This is a picture I took at a Justin Bieber concert. And I like to think that I did it for research, right? Like, that was something that I was just trying to understand how the kids are. But I took this picture, and as soon as he came out, I grabbed my iPhone, took a picture of him, and I got this picture, which was really easy to take because I'm 1.5 feet taller than every single person in that space. But you look at what they're doing. These kids are taking out these devices, and they're creating content, and they're telling stories, and they're sharing it across the entire world. And you think of how powerful that is, that they can actually connect with people all over the world. And are we actually taking advantage of that change? And so you think about like how people push back against cell phones, and we have to move away from this. Missed one, sorry. This student actually wrote, she wrote this quote, and this is a 15-year-old girl. She wrote, "The question is, are schools teaching for yesterday or tomorrow?" And as I said, this is a 15-year-old student who actually goes through and watches what her teachers are doing on Twitter, watches what other educators are doing, and says, "I want better," because she hears many other teachers' voices. And she is moving forward and pushing her teachers to become better. And you think about the access that kids have, the mobile devices, and we have to move away from this. Dear students, I know when you're texting in class, seriously, no one just looks down at their crotch and smiles. Maybe some people do, I don't know. So with this technology and all of these things, what I started to see is this really powerful voice that people are having and how they're connecting with people around the world. And we live in this world where everyone can have a voice. And I saw this tweet once, and it was really neat. Saw a bird had crapped on a smart car, totaled it. If you have a smart car, I apologize, right? And so what was neat is that this guy takes advantage and he talks about, or he shares what he thinks about this, but what's really neat is that Smart actually responded to this person and said, "Couldn't have been one bird, sounds more like 4.5 million, seriously, we did the math." So they took this negative and they made this huge positive of it, but they didn't just actually stop at the tweet. If you actually look into the tweet, here is a graph of all the different types of bird craps there are, and if you even look in the corner, it says, figures are estimated, may not be exact, but they're not totally full of crap either. So, and you think about how we use our voice and how you see people using this voice, and this is an actual tweet. "I just had a cup of tea with soy milk. It was one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my life." There's got to be more that we can do with this, and we have to figure this out. So I really implore people, educators, to start using their voice. And I think that through this, through using like social media, Twitter, blogging, Facebook, etc., we start to tell our story. We start to tell what we do as educators. And you think about today, all these stories that you've heard, what are you going to do to share some of these things after? And I love this quote, "After nourishment, shelter, and companionship, stories are the thing we need most in the world." And as I went through as a principal and started thinking about this, how do I bring this back in? And this idea that if I want to be innovative, I have to disrupt my routine and think about how we do professional development in a totally different way. Because most of us feel this way. If I die, I hope it's during a staff meeting because the transition to death would be so subtle. You know, and with all these opportunities, all these people sharing, all these people connecting, how do we use what we can in a powerful way? So what I started doing was I started blogging, and I started sharing what I was doing, and I started using Twitter, and it really resonated with me because I could share what we did in our school, the powerful things that were happening in our school, and we were telling the story. We weren't waiting for something bad to happen to be reported in the media. We were telling the story of what we did as educators. And so as I started to do this, we found more and more people in our school district also started to share their story. And you can see in our school division hashtag, we have our superintendent, teachers, students, parents, assistant principals, whoever, sharing the things that they're doing in their classroom. And it's empowering because we're spread out over a large area and they're sharing what they do. And you can see some of these stories. This is one of our teachers who started a week called Innovation Week, and he took this idea, he found it off Twitter, and what he did was he gave kids the opportunity to build something that they wanted to build, to make a project, something really powerful. And you can see here, and it might be a little bit choppy, excuse me, this kid is making a pogo stick. But what was really cool, and hopefully you can see the video, these kids went into their dad's garage, and they looked on YouTube, they looked up hovercrafts, and they came to school and built hovercrafts. This is not a private school. This is not a school that has a ton of amount of money, but it's actually just a public school, and these kids made it. And you think of the power that this teacher was able to tell this story, and it inspired others in our school district to do the same thing. Does that work? Wow, that did work. And so what I think about what happens here is that when we start to tell our story, we become more human, that we see the value. And it's nice that so many people today that I connected with, because I've connected with on Twitter or through my blog, came up and talked to me. And it was really powerful, and this human notion, this human side that we don't have enough of in school. And so once teachers start to do this, they learn to empower their kids. And you look at a very young age, kids follow what you do. And so they're going out into the space, and we wonder why they're doing dumb things. And we have to guide them. And you look at this, this kid wrote, "I want a Romeo and Juliet relationship." And then an adult came in and said, "You want a 3-day relationship that causes 6 deaths?" And so you see that they absolutely need our guidance. And so this teacher, what he did, he started using Twitter and blogs, and he actually got his daughter to do the same thing. And she's probably 6 years old at this time. She took my video from the Justin Bieber concert and blogged about it and got all these comments from people around the world, and this was her response to others.
This morning, it was really exciting because I saw people that commented from all over the world, including America and Canada. It was really fun, and it's really fun blogging. I like that everyone is commenting really nice things. Thank you. And I would like to do a big thank you to George and everyone too. Thank you. See ya.
And yes, I have Justin Bieber in common with a 6-year-old girl. So as she blogged about this is the blog that she was responding about, and you saw that she was connecting, and people tweeted this and shared it, and teachers from around the world started commenting to her, and they said, "I'll be showing my 3rd graders how you did this so they can have a blog post like this." You think how powerful this is. This kid in Australia is teaching other kids in Canada, and she responds to every single comment on her blog. She says, "Thanks for commenting. I'm surprised by all the people that are teachers and going to show my blog to kids all over the world. This is really fun." And so we saw things like this, opportunities. So we do a blog in our school that's called 184 Days of Learning. And what that is every single day we share a story about learning. So we ask kids, what did you learn today? But anyone can answer it in our school division, whether it's superintendents, teacher, whoever. And so we started doing this because we're actually in an initiative where we have every single kid in our district that has a blog portfolio that follows them through K-12 that they create, 10,000 kids. This is one of the most powerful stories, though. This girl, Madison, she wrote about a book called The Dot by Peter Reynolds. And so she did what most kids do. She wrote like a little book report, a little summary. But what was cool is that I actually tweeted this out, and I said, it would be great to get some comments for kids on this post. And I didn't really think much about it because we were just trying to get comments. And this guy said, "Hey, I actually know the author. I'm going to send it to him." And so I think, okay, that's cool. About 3-4 hours later, the author of the book goes into the grade 4 student's space and comments to the kid. And I heard this morning the most powerful word in the English language is free. I disagree. I believe the most powerful word in the English language is your name. And you think, how does the author start? Madison. He addresses her, and she knows that her work matters and that she's doing something powerful. And you think about the change in what she's doing because of this. And so because kids can connect with people all over the world, we look at what's called digital leadership, this notion that because of these connections, they can make a change in the world around them. And so a lot of guys are starting to take advantage of this. This guy actually created a Facebook page to promote positive things in his school, and what he'll do is every single day he'll tweet or write on Facebook good things about other kids. He's trying to promote this positive culture. What was neat was that we saw this video and we started to share it, and we said, how can we start to implement this in our school? And one teacher actually had all of her kids every single week compliment one kid, but post it on YouTube, and she put the video together, and here's the sample.
You are very nice. Thanks for being my friend. Yeah, so I heard that you were. Well, I heard when I got to the start of the year, I saw Ty and Scott and Owen, and they said you were really fun and crazy. And so when I came to hang out with you guys, I asked if I could hang out with you, and you're like, yeah. And so then we hung out for a while, and then over the months we gotten to know each other really well. And well, dude, you're awesome, man.
And such a cool thing to do with these kids, that they can actually, say positive things. And this student, and as the other students, were getting all of these positive comments from people around the world, appreciating what they're doing. And you think it's nerve-wracking to do this. This year, this same student addressed our entire teaching staff, 1,400 people, and he did one of our keynotes. That he actually did this, and it showed that his voice meant something, and that it connected into the offline world. And so I think about the PS22 Couros. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of them, but their teachers started posting things about them online and showing their music, their songs, and connecting with them. And you can see them. This is actually them performing in a concert with gym class heroes, and you can see them in the back. These kids have the opportunity to perform with a band that they love. And so I take this, I think of like a Christmas concert. We always do Christmas concerts, and kids are goofing around, pulling each other's hair, and music teachers are going nuts. But the day of the concert comes, and they knock it out of the park. And what's the difference? They have an audience. They want to do well. What happens when we tell our kids every single day, your work is out there, and you can do amazing things? And as Shelley Wright says, kids often defy expectations if you give them the opportunity. We have to find safe ways for our kids to have an opportunity to share their voice. So as we move forward, this is the hardest part for me. My dad actually passed away in March, and I think about him taking the time to connect and share his stories, what he did, and how it impacted me, and how it impacted every single person that he connected with. And that if he wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't have known as much about him, because I moved out when I was 18, went to university. And he took that time, he embraced change. He did something with it, he saw it as an opportunity. And I have so many emails and Facebook messages from my dad that he shared. And his stories change me. They make me a better person. And I think about what that does, and I love this notion that to inspire meaningful change, you must make a connection to the heart before you make a connection to the mind. And when you share your stories, that's what you do. And the things that I see in classrooms every day, everyone should know about these things. The things that your students do every single day, people should know them. You have to use your voice, you have to help kids use their voice, and you empower our voice. Thank you. Okay.